Hello and welcome to the fifth episode of the Sam Hossack Media Podcast. We will get to our guest shortly, but first I would like to talk about a tragedy that could easily be avoided. At 6:08 p.m., January 17, 2021, the Aurelia Communications Center of the Ontario Provincial Police was in receipt of a 911 call from a Robbins Point Road, Victoria Harbour resident after hearing a call for help from the waters of Sturgeon Bay. On Sunday, OPP officers, along with members of the Tay Township Fire Service and Simcoe County Paramedic Service, attended an area north of the intersection of Robbins Point Road and Osborne Street in Victoria Harbour. Officers were able to locate some clothing at the scene, and later in the evening, investigators were in receipt of a missing persons report of two overdue snowmobilers from the Coldwater area. Unfortunately, as a result, a childhood friend of mine, Donnie Brebner, and his father, Gerald, were found by the OPP Underwater Search and Rescue Team shortly after 11 a.m. on Monday. Members of the Southern Georgian Bay OPP want to remind all persons who do venture outdoors that area ice surfaces may be snow-covered and appear safe to travel on. Unfortunately, locally, this year we have not had the kind of cold weather required for the formation of ice required for winter activities. So if ice travel is necessary, please check with local residents and fish hut operators before heading out on any ice surface. With that being said, I would like to extend my prayers and thoughts to the Brebner family, and this episode is for you, Donnie. This interview of the Sam Hossack Media Podcast is brought to you by Juice Plus, a line of whole food products to bridge the gap between what you eat and what you should eat. Juice Plus, the next best thing to fruits and vegetables. For more information, please contact independent distributor Shelley Hossack. And now, without further ado, I would like to welcome today's guest to the show. He is a former superstar with the Barrie Junior Colts AAA zone, has played with stars such as Owen Tippett, Thomas Harley, and Jacob Ingham, not a big deal, and has the best style in the league. Sorry, Brownie. Please welcome to the Sam Hossack Media Podcast from the Mississauga Steelheads, number 14, James Hardie.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
Absolutely, and we'll get right into things here. You were a member of the Barrie Junior Colts in minor hockey. We'll go right to your minor midget season. 70 points in 34 games, only behind Quinton Byfield, who was second overall this year. Just talk about how your minor midget season went in Barrie.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great year. We had a great team, a good core group. I mean, we had like Tyson Forster was on our team, Alex Boulanger. Like we had some good core guys, and I think we really played well together. And me playing with Tyson, if you look at our stats, I scored 41 goals. He had 41 assists. So without him, I don't have that many goals. And I think our team is really good, and we were all like together as a group, and we performed well.
Absolutely. And I believe it was halfway through that year, your mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Just talk a little bit about that and how the season continued for you after that.
Yeah, so I think it was around middle of October. My mom ended up telling us she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it obviously was a tough time. And she pretty much came to me and she said, it's your draft year. I want you to just perform, and don't worry about me. You do your thing. And I was like, it's hard for me to go to the rink knowing that my mom's going through this, but the guys on my team, they helped me get through everything, and going to the rink every day helped me a lot. Just seeing the guys and taking my mind off and playing the game really helped.
Now, that season, you guys made it to the OHL Cup, which is obviously a prestigious tournament. So just talk about the experience you had at OHL Cup that year.
Yeah, so the OHL Cup's a big tournament. There's lots of scouts there, and we played well. I'm pretty sure we tied our first game against JRC. We ended up winning the tournament. And we did a good run there, and we lost to the Marlies in the quarterfinals 3-2, which was a close game against arguably the best team in Ontario. They were the best team in Canada. They're a really good team, and we performed well, and it was tough to be our last game ever playing together, but it was a good time.
Now, OHL draft that year, 8th overall for the Mississauga Steelheads, who took you there. Take us through the talks you had with Mississauga during the year. Did you kind of know that you were going there, and how did everything transpire that year?
Yeah, so I met with them a couple times throughout the year. I ended up going down there. I went through a little tour, talked to the managers, watched the game, toured the room and stuff. And, it was a great facility, great people. It was just all around a great place that I would want to go to. And, just keep talking to them throughout throughout the season. And then come draft day, I was sitting around with my family, and I was lucky enough to get picked by Mississauga, and I've never been so happy in my life.
Now, after the draft, you go to something, if you're picked, called the OHL Gold Cup. That year, you played with guys like Quinton Byfield, Ethan Cardwell, Ty Collins, Evan Veerling, and Tyson Forrester. So just talk about that experience at OHL Gold Cup.
Yeah, the Gold Cup is something really cool. I mean, it's where all the players from our little MHA league come together and we form a team. And it was a great experience to play with guys you've really never played with before. So I think it was a really cool time for a lot of people.
For sure. And now getting into your first year in Missy, you played a couple of games with the Steelheads before heading to under 17s, which we'll talk about quickly here. So just take us through your experience at the under 17s. Who was your roommate for that tournament? What was it like playing with guys like Byfield, Jamie Drysdale, Ozzy Weisblatt, John Luke Foodie, and 10 OHL guys that tournament?
Yeah, so the tournament was definitely cool. My roommate was Jack Finley. He plays for Spokane Chiefs. He just drafted Tampa Bay. He's a good guy, and that tournament was a great experience. I mean, you talk about those guys, those names like Jamie Drysdale and Byfield, like those are high-end players. They're great players. They're going to be great NHL players one day, and it's a cool experience to represent your country. There's people there who don't even know who you are, but they're cheering you on because it's your country. And it's something really cool, and it's something that I really want to do again. And playing for your country is just something special to everybody.
Now, that first year in Mississauga, I believe you were living with Owen Tippett for a little bit. So just take us through an experience like that as a 16-year-old living with a guy who's got some experience in the league.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I first moved in there probably around August, and Nick Hag was still living there at the time too. So it was both of them. And, Nick played a good prank on me the one time. He said, when you come, make sure you dress up nice, wear something nice, like a golf shirt or something. So I show up at this house, and I'm wearing a golf shirt, I'm wearing khaki pants, and Nick's wearing flip-flops, sandals, like he's got his shorts on. My Bill dad looks at me and he goes, "Nice meeting you, James. Why you dressed up so nice?" I go, "Well, Nick told me to wear this." So that happened, and then Nick ended up moving out, and he went to go play out in went to play for the Wolves, and then he was with Las Vegas for a little bit. And then I was with Tippett, and he's a great mentor. Obviously, you see how good he is. He's got the skill. He's playing in the NHL now, and I remember watching him playing World Juniors, and that little Spanorama move he did was just ridiculous. And he's just, he's always there when I was struggling during the season. He was always there to talk to me. He was there to get me through things, and he was always there to help and mentor me.
Now, you're a native of Barrie. First game in Barrie. How special is that to play in the OHL in your hometown?
Yeah, growing up, I'm going to all these games. I'm watching all these guys like Shifley and Pearson growing up, watching the Colts. And when I played my first game, I think I played on a line with Ryan McLeod that game and Cole Carter. And my first shift in Barrie, I actually got an assist. That was pretty cool. And then I think my next shift after that, I scored. So it was a good start to my debut. And then I actually got hit pretty hard. Justin Murray laid me out pretty good. But it was a great experience to know that I've watched all these guys play my whole life, and I'm playing against them in my own building.
Now, for your first OHL game, were there many butterflies going through your stomach there?
Yeah, I mean, my first game was in Ottawa, who were supposed to be a really good team, and they were. And to go to Ottawa to play my first game, it was definitely nerve-wracking, knowing that I get expectations to perform and play well. And the game ended up getting delayed a bit because a tornado touched down in Ottawa, so that's a big story there. And it was all foggy, and we had to delay the game. So that was pretty cool. And then we ended up losing that game in overtime, but it was a great experience for me to play my first game in Ottawa.
Now, first career OHL goal, who did it come against, and how special was it to get the monkey off your back?
Yeah, I scored my first goal in Ottawa against Cedric Andre in my first game. It was a great experience. It wasn't the best goal I've ever scored, but I'll take it. And as soon as I scored that goal, I just felt a big sigh of relief, and it's like I finally did it. Now I'm here to play, and I got to do what I got to do.
Now, for playoffs that year, how did they go for you guys, and how did you end up finishing?
Yeah, so we ended up playing Sudbury in the first round. Didn't go too well. We got swept in the first round to Sudbury. But it was a great experience just to see the big difference between regular season hockey and playoff hockey. It's just the big difference, big dudes, like everyone's going hard. it's a tough league, and the playoffs are even harder. And it was a good time for us. I mean, it didn't end the way we wanted to, but it was a good time.
For sure, and obviously you guys had a little bit of a longer off season heading into last season, and for you had an offensive explosion last season with 34 goals. So just take us through the bit of a shortened season you guys had as it came to an end before it was supposed to end, but scoring 34 goals in the OHL isn't easy to do. So take us through that.
Yeah, so actually I started off pretty slow. November, I think I only had like 2 points in all of November. And after Christmas, I really turned it on there. I had a talk with my GM, telling him, I was just talking to him about how I wasn't feeling I was performing well, and I wasn't doing my best, and I just wasn't putting the puck on net. And he pretty much just told me he's got all the confidence in the world into me, and not worry about it. It's gonna come. Like, it will come eventually. And then it just clicked. First game back after Christmas break, and I get 3 points, and it just went from there. I mean, I'm playing with Cole Schwint, who's a great player, and he's able to find me, and I'm able to bury the puck when he gives it to me. So it's just know I have people that have confidence in me really helped me a lot.
Now, last year you were one of the top guys on the Steelheads. So, as a second-year player, how special was that to kind of be a mentor to some of the rookies that were coming in?
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, we were a great team. I mean, we got guys like Washcrook, Canady, Schwint, Harley. Like, we were a good team. It was pretty cool to be recognized as one of the top players, and it was a good year. I think if where we kept playing, our team would really surprise people down the road. I mean, we're a good team. We battle hard and we're fast, and it could have been scary for other teams down the road.
Now, as we mentioned already, season being cut short due to COVID. What was the overall feedback from the guys when the season did get cut short?
Yeah, obviously it sucks. We were on our way to North Bay to play a game, and I think we got to about Bear, and we had to turn around, and the season got canceled. So it was obviously tough, and we were all expecting to go back very shortly, a few weeks off maybe, and go back. And we got extended, and we've been almost a year now without hockey, and it's hard to keep busy, but you just keep in touch with the guys, make sure everyone's doing well, talking to our coaches, making sure we're all doing well. And it's been tough, but it's been good.
Now, last season was your NHL draft year. So leading up to the NHL draft, just take us through how that went from you from March up until October when the draft did happen.
Yeah, so for me, as soon as I came home, lots of stuff was closed, so I couldn't really do much. I was just working out at home on a Zoom call with my trainer, working out with guys like Russell and Phillips and Taylor Barnett and like those guys like that. And we're doing that stuff. And then gyms finally opened up. We were skating 3 times a week, working out 5 days a week. And, then the draft day came. And obviously, I was disappointed on draft day. It didn't go the way I wanted to. But, for me, that's just more motivation to push harder and see what's going to come out next year.
For sure. And when talking to NHL teams, if you did during the year last year, who are some of the teams you talked to, and were there any weird questions that you got from any of the teams?
I talked to quite a few. There wasn't really any weird questions. They're mostly just standard questions like what are your best attributes, your stuff you need to work on, how you play like, what's your family like, what's your lifestyle like, things you like, just stuff like that. Just nothing really weird.
Now, obviously, this year for the OHL season hasn't started. It's still obviously up in the air. There was rumors of it starting in December, then February, everything getting pushed back. So have you gotten any offers to go play in Europe or anything?
I've definitely looked into it, but me and my agent, we sat down and we talked for a bit about it, and I think I'm just gonna stick around here and just work out, keep training as much as I can here, and just hope for the best when it comes. And whenever the season starts, just make sure I'm ready to play.
For sure. And now we're gonna get into a little bit of fun questions here. Have some fun with these. Best and worst chirper on the Mississauga Steelheads.
The best might be, I think Washer's got some good ones. Steve's got some good ones there. The worst, it's tough, but I don't think Canady's the best chirper out there.
Now, you're a big golfer. In the summer, you play with some other OHL guys as well as your father there. But best and worst golfer in the OHL that you have played with?
Tyson's not the best golfer, that's for sure. Tux isn't too good either. There's a few guys that I play with that are pretty good. My buddy Matt, I play with all the time. He plays junior in Burlington. He's a pretty good golfer. I think he's probably the best that I play with. And I play with him almost every day.
Favorite arena and least favorite in the OHL?
My favorite's probably Kitch by far. I mean, it's like a mini NHL with almost a sold out building. And, my least is probably Sudbury. Their fans are always all over us, and it's freezing cold in that rink.
Weirdest superstition for a player on your team?
I don't know if we have too many. I mean, Washer likes to, before we go for warm up, he chugs 2 bottles of water, but that's about all. I don't really think we got anything serious like that.
What is one thing that no one knows about you?
Good question. I mean, I don't really know if a lot of people know that I'm really into golf. Like that's my go-to thing when I'm not playing hockey. I mean, I like even during the winters, like I'll go to the indoor golf. Like golf's a big thing for me, and I love to do that.
Now, some teams in the OHL have pre-game ceremonies and introductions. So what is your favorite one that you have seen over your 2 years in the league?
Yeah, I think Niagara's pretty cool. Their mascot with their sign they got's pretty cool. Kitchener's is pretty sweet too. I don't mind that one. Erie's pretty nice too, but I think Kitchener's blows that one. They're pretty sweet with their intros.
Toughest guy in the OHL to play against?
There's a couple. I mean, I think Alec Regula in London is pretty tough to play against. A big D. Tucker's another tough one. He's a big dude. He'll beat you in lots of ways. And I think another one was like Nick Robertson. He's just so silky and smooth. He's just hard to get the puck off him.
Funniest story from a road trip on the bus?
I don't even know if we got too many. I mean, we just got some. We do some storytelling on the bus, and there's a few funny stories that come out through there, but just like jokes and stuff like that. But nothing really too like hilarious.
Over the last 2 years in the OHL, who is one superstar or multiple that you faced that you're kind of shocked to be saying that you're lining up against them for a face-off or something?
Yeah, so I think one of them would be like Liam Foodie on London. That was pretty cool to play against him. You got like my first year playing against Bouchard and Boquist. They're both great players, and there's definitely some big names out there that are really good players that are pretty cool to see you play against.
Now, in the Steelheads locker room, who is the team DJ?
Yeah, so usually it's Harley that plays our music. Schwint will play music a few times, but before games, Harley's usually the one that's going to play our music for us.
Now, you're an NHL GM. Pick any current player to start a team. Who is it and why?
Any current player could be in the NHL too?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take McDavid for that one. He's just an all-around stud. He's just a fast. He can score. He can make plays. He's just an all-around stud.
For sure. Now, obviously, the NHL came back on January 13th. So who is your team and who you kind of excited to see and the excitement you have around the All-Canadian division?
Yeah, so my team's always been the Capitals. They've always been my go-to team. But I think the Ottawa Senators are going to turn some heads this year. I think they're a really good team with that Spitzel guy. He's a great player. And I think they're young and they're good. And they're gonna surprise some teams. And I think the Canadian division is going to be really cool. I mean, you're playing each other 9 times. It's pretty much who's going to be the best in Canada. That's what they're battling for, and I think it's pretty cool.
Now, a couple of the guys that you know really well, Tyson Forster and Isaac Phillips, both drafted this year. Just take us through the excitement that you had for those guys.
Yeah, so seeing Tyson go in the first round was pretty cool. I mean, I grew up with him. We went through all our minor hockey together, and it's pretty cool to see a guy that's that good. And a lot of people never really saw it coming up, and then he really took off last year, and it's a pretty cool experience for him. And then a guy like Isaac, he's a big guy, he's a strong kid, he's really good. So I was super happy to see him go somewhere too.
Now, in the summer, who are some of the guys in the OHL that you train with?
Yes, I train with like Russell, Tucker, Phillips, Tice, Snowy, Weeks. There's a bunch of us that all skate together.
And for training, where do you go in Barrie, or where is the gym that you guys go to?
Yeah, so we skate and work out at NTR in Barrie. We just got the gym upstairs. We do that there, and then we go on the ice.
Now, obviously, with the season being on pause, what are your kind of expectations for the season starting up again? And are you hopeful that the OHL can get going?
Yeah, obviously I wanna play, and I think it'd be cool for us to get a season at some point. Right now it's just safety's got to be first, but we really want to play, and for me, I just got to be ready to go.
Absolutely. Well, this interview of the Sam Hossack Media podcast was brought to you by Juice Plus, a line of whole food products to bridge the gap between what you eat and what you should eat. Juice Plus, the next best thing to fruits and vegetables. For more information, please contact independent distributor Shelly Hossack. On behalf of the listeners, we'd like to thank James for coming on to the show today, and we wish you the best of luck whenever the season does get going.
Thank you.